Happy Monday. Sorry I'm a little late. Small crisis. Had to take care of the dog real fast. So, how is everyone today? Let's see. It's Monday. We've got a little over a month left in the semester. Oops. I am thinking that this week, in just a second, as soon as I find that adapter and the cord I need, we are going to look over some old concepts. Things like limiting reactants. So, here's the cable. All the pieces together. But I thought that as the final starts getting closer, we should really start to think about what we're going to learn or what we need to be responsible for going forward. So, all right. 912 cables later. We're almost there. As always, if you have a question, you can drop it in the comments box over there. Otherwise, I will. Let's make this. Whoops. A lot going on. Now, everything will work. And all right. No, but I need that clicked. We're going to add this, and then we're going to swap it. Yeah. Okay. So, as we think about how this works, one of the things that I think is important is to think about what is a limiting reactant. So, limiting reactant. Oops. This is going to take just a second. We'll talk about it first while I charge my Apple Pencil, because apparently it's dead. So, limiting reactants give us the opportunity to determine who or what in a reaction is going to control the product production. So, why is this important? A limiting reactant allows us to determine how much product should be made. Now, oftentimes when we think about limiting reactants, it kind of feels like it's a weird calculation that we don't care about. Hypothetically, if you're adding A and B together, if A is really, really expensive, I don't want a lot of it. So if A is $1,000 a gram and B is $3 a gram, B can be my excess reagent. But I want all of that to be consumed every time, because in the grand scheme of things, when we think about chemical reactions in industry, meaning like at a chemical company or somewhere else, that's going to tell us how much product we think we should make. And that is an important aspect of chemistry. So limiting reactants is used in that way. Now it feels like, do people really calculate it that way? Sometimes. I have before in reactions that I've run, both as an undergrad, as a grad student, and as a professor. So we want to make sure that the more expensive reagent isn't getting thrown away. I use it when I think about baking. So you may or may not know, I love to bake. But if I only have 1 cup of chocolate chips, I can't make a whole batch of chocolate chip cookies. I need to half the recipe that calls for 2 cups. So we can think about limiting reactants in terms of everything else that we do. If you are making dinner for 2 people and you only have 1 chicken breast, everyone's only getting a half, or one person gets 1 and the other gets none. Thanksgiving is coming. The other thing that's important are Thanksgiving leftovers. There's always one that runs out first. It's the limiting reactant. Now, Usually it's not turkey. In my family's house, it's green bean casserole, or my mom makes this killer stuffing. So good. But that is another way where you could get, like, it's a limiting reactant. It runs out. So let's think about limiting reactants, as a more interesting concept. And, oh, this is not going to work, is it? Yes, it is. Nope. Hi, Jeremy. I now can't make my iPad work. But limiting reactants are super important. And so when we think about that and we set up these calculations, that is the way that we can do that. Is this really not going to let me? Let's see. Maybe. This is like not the best. Why is it always gotta do it like this? There it is. Apparently is going to not participate today, but that's okay. We can just talk about limiting reactants. So when we address these calculations, the important part is to determine who is the limiting reactant or what, because compounds don't really necessarily have that capacity. When we set that up, we need the ability to say the limiting reactant is compound A or B. The limiting reactant is totally consumed, therefore there are 0 grams remaining. Now, sometimes students are like, oh, well, I don't understand. What does that mean that it's 0? It means that limiting reactants, it's all used up. So if we think about the Thanksgiving, it's the first thing to go. If it's the groceries, so we have in my house candy. There's a candy bin. I really only eat certain things. I'm not a big chocolate fan. I know. But I'm not a big chocolate fan, which means that when there's chocolate, I'm not going to eat that. But if there's a bag of Skittles, I might eat all this. So they could be the limiting reactant in terms of the candy that gets consumed first. So when we think about this, the limiting reactant is totally consumed. There is none left. But it determines how much product is made. So the product component is what we are looking for in that way. So to determine how much of the other reagent is left, we subtract what we used, which is in a stoichiometric or the balanced chemical equation ratio to the limiting reactant. So while it feels kind of scary when we think about limiting reactants, it's really not. The trick is to track all of the different calculation parts. Let me see. Yeah, that's just not going to work today. I don't really know why. So that's what we get for trying to charge my Apple Pencil in the middle. I should have just gone without. So other important topics. So we've talked about limiting reactants. I've not written the final, but I thought we would start. Today we're in chapter 3. We'll look back over exam 2 material in upcoming weeks. So other things on exam 1 that we will see again, density. Density is weight per mil or grams per mil. A lot of times we can calculate that. We can use the density similarly to how we use molarity. Now, molarity is moles per liter. So you could convert molarity to grams per mil or grams per mil, provided you know the compound, into molarity. They're not the same thing. So other thoughts I have today. Trying to think. Ooh, atomic mass. Which would work better if I could actually do the calculation. So we'll hold off. We'll look at atomic mass next week. As always, if you have any questions, you can always pop in and drop those in a line. So what I've noticed is a lot of you guys are doing really well this semester, or many of you are doing well this semester. So let's see. I'm trying to think what else I have for you. Not a whole lot. It was Halloween. Lil did not put on her costume, unfortunately. I should make her wear it just for like fun. But she is currently like right here, asleep. So she's pretty happy. What else? I don't have a lot else today. Mostly because my iPad didn't work and that was the plan. And I don't actually know how to make it work, so let's just see. Yep. It will work, but it is not going to connect. So we will give that another second to see if we try this. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. My iPad is old and frankly probably needs to be replaced, but that's neither here nor there. So when we think about the final exam, which I will talk about this in upcoming announcements, it's not the only time, but I think it's important to kind of start thinking about or acknowledging the reality that in Gen Chem 1, it is all going to come, I don't want to say come back to haunt you, but it is all coming back. And so we will think about Gen Chem 1, Exam 1 will be on the test, Exam 2, Exam 3, and the stuff that we learn after Thanksgiving, which is Chapter 10. So all of that will be on there. It won't really be equally weighted, but we'll be able to look at all aspects of that and kind of try to think about how can we put those together? What methods or manners can we create in order to make that make sense? And so I think it's important for us to think about how that works. Exactly. And if it doesn't work, that's okay too. That doesn't make any sense, sorry. When we think about Exam 1, look at what are the important topics. But think about, are there ways that the topics in Exam 1 could be used in other ways on Exams 2 and 3 material? Hypothetically, we could have a gas equation, which is what we're going to learn in Chapter 10 after Thanksgiving, but it could also involve balancing an equation or using stoichiometry. So all of those things couple together to create many different components. So I like those kind of questions. You should be prepared for that. All right. It doesn't look like anyone else has questions, and because my iPad won't work, I am going to roll into my Zoom office hours where I can answer other questions if you have them. I hope you guys have a fantastic day and enjoy the cool weather. Here in Jacksonville, it's quite pleasant today, so that's fantastic. Y'all have a good one.